RNA secondary structure prediction can also be explained by using these transformational grammars, which were presented by Noam Chomsky. He's a famous American linguist. Actually, he was trying to explain the hierarchy of different grammars, where we came up with these different grammars we would look into in the next slide. Chomsky is a philosopher, a logician, a cognitive scientist. He's a political commentator. You might have seen him discussing the issues, some related to some humanitarian issues on different media channels. He's also known as father of modern linguistics. Here is Chomsky. He's mostly associated with MIT. And as far as these different grammars which he presented for the languages is like this. So innermost circle we have regular grammars which are very specific. We are not going into detail of these grammars because this is not the scope of our course. We'll use just one of them, which is actually those context-free grammars in order to predict RNA secondary structures. So then we have context-free. We are moving from specific to general model. Context sensitive, so they overlap both context free and regular, and then finally we have unrestricted grammars. We can explain any structures using regular grammars. So for example, the above structure we have A, B, A, and B. We can have nucleotides here, we can have amino acids here. So a word like this, which is comprised of these alphabets, can be explained with regular grammars. We do have a palindrome language. In palindromes, we see those sequences are replicated in a sense like just like one half of it is the replica or the mirror image of the second half. So we have AAB and then we have BAA. In copy language, we have the same sequence repeated. So we have AAB, AAB. This is how these different elements they correspond to one another. Regular grammars, they can also produce palindromes, but the issue is the grammars that only produce palindromes are they cannot be written. So we do have palindromes, but we do have other kind of structures in it. So the best option in this case is context-free grammars. What is a context-free grammar? So we have symbols and we have productions, or we call them as writing rules. So symbols like A, T, G, C's in case of the DNA and different amino acids are simple English letters. We can have them there. And after we have those combination of symbols, we can refer to different writing rules. We call them as productions. In the letters, we have terminals. So they are generically represented as A in this case. So these are the actual final letters. So we are having terminals like A and then it terminates over there. The sequence stops over there. We do have non-terminals. Generically they are represented by W. Sometimes we also have S. So these are abstract symbols. Easiest to see how they are used through examples. So they start usually with letter S and then this S expands into further letters. We'll look into the examples. Here are some possible productions. So we have W, so that is basically a non-terminal. So that breaks up into A and W. Say here A is a terminal and then W keeps on expanding further. So this W can be expanded as AWA. So in this case we are starting with a letter A, we are ending with a letter A, and in between we have some sequence. W can expand as ABWA, it can be AWB where two letters are different, and so on. So in the end we might have W which is expanding into AABB. We can have combination of two W's where we can have different non-terminal symbols, so we can use them in order to model any kind of sequence. W can end into an empty string where we can say that our production is stopped. So we do have CFG here in this example where we are producing palindromes. So we start with the letter S and then it expands into A, S and A. Then S can also expand into B, S and B. S can be AA, S can be BB. So we can put all these production rules together in one place. So for example, S can go into ASA. Remember in your computer language, these pipes are where we have OR. So A as A or B as B, AA or BB. We can put everything together including an empty string. So in this way, these just 4 rules, we put them together in just this one relation where S is breaking into A as A, B as B and E. So here we can produce the palindromes by using these rules. So for example, we have a sequence 1, then a sequence 2, then a sequence 3, and these are all RNA stem loops. Remember guys, in the stems you have on one side, it's kind of, you have a hairpin like structure. So you have these bulge where these nucleotides, they are not complementary or they are not actually binding to one another. So in this way they push each other nucleotides apart. So in this way you will have a bulge, and then we have those perfect bindings down there. So in this way you have the stems. So we have stems and loops. This structure is known as stem and loops. How can we produce these stem and loops? By using context-free grammars. So here are our production rules. So we can have S breaking A, W1 and U. It can be C, W1 and G, G, W1 and C, U, W1 and A. And then W1 can breaks up into W2 with same combinations. It can go into W2. W1 can go to W2. And W2 can then break into W3, and finally in W3 we can put whatever we see in that loop region, GAA or GCAA. We can put these rules as a set as we see over here, and we can have those terminal letters as A, C, G, U, the 4 nucleotides we have in RNA. For each grammar we do have a parsing automaton. You might have taken these things in your automata courses. I'm not going into the detail. For example, regular grammars, we can use finite state automaton, and context free, which we are using here in this example. For them, we use push down automaton, context sensitive, linear bound automaton, and unrestricted Turing machines. Here is the parsing tree using this push down automata. So this is the automata representation of the same situation we discussed earlier. So we conclude that this Chomsky's grammars, they can be expanded into computational linguistics. So remember, we had linguistics, and then these things were embedded into the computers. So that's why there came a new field called as computational linguistics, and we can use these context-free grammars in order to predict our RNA secondary structure.